Hi besties, welcome back. And in today's video, we're talking about the video that's really gonna change your life. As a first year student, let me first close this window. Alright, we are back. Today's video, we are talking about how to do well in university, either as a first year student or as a returning student. From someone who is currently doing their masters, I can guarantee you that I know what I'm talking about. I got through undergrad and now I'm in my final year of doing my master's. So please take notes. And remember that some of the things I'm going to say might not work for you, but please do share in the comment box down below what works for you. Awesome. The first most important thing that I want to talk about is time management. You know that your timetable is packed. So you need to look at your timetable in a sense of from the moment you wake up, from the moment I wake up, like, okay, what time does your first lecture start? And when does your last lecture end for the day? So that is where we're going to integrate a tool called Google Calendar. It's going to be life changing. You can use others, but Google Calendar, I like how convenient it is. You get notifications on your phone pronto. So for example, you know that you have a lecture at 8 and then at 9, but 10, 11, and 12, you don't have anything. You only have a lecture at 2. Don't take those things as a free slot. Utilize them. So for example, if you feel like I'm really tired, you're going to sleep for that 3 hours. And you know that at night you can be sleeping 8 hours because you already slept 8. You get that? It needs to be fair. So if you use that 3 hours maybe to do your tutorials, your labs, your calls, you need to slot it into the Google Calendar that, okay, I'm going to revise the lecture that I just had at 8, and then an hour later I'm going to revise the one I had at 9, and then later I'm going to maybe prepare for the next lecture or the lab. Maybe there's a lab you need to prepare for, then you do that. So you need to utilize your time. The same as how in high school, when you'd have a free period, I'd always say, guys, please try and read literature, do something, try and push content so that by the time there's an assessment, you're not overwhelmed. So time management, also when you're studying, try and study almost, depending on when you have your lecture. So let's say for this module, you only have 2 lectures in a week. Try and study before, like just to have an idea of what they're going to talk about. And then after that lecture, we need to also study. And then after the second one, and then before that. Because remember, guys, the moment you leave that hall, you forget almost 50% of the things you were taught. And now you need to come in with your study techniques to make sure that you get more repetition, you repeat the content. It's very, very important. So you get to use techniques such as the Pomodoro technique, where you study for a certain interval and then you sort of like take, what do you call this? A break. So let's say you study for 25 minutes and then you get a 5-minute break. Break it like that. You can do 3 of those sessions for one module if you want. Instead of just doing 2 hours in one module, you're going to be very tired. Especially if it's a module that's a bit, you get that. So try and break it into pieces and mix your subjects or your modules. We no longer call them subjects, by the way. They are called modules. You guys are old. I remember last year you guys were saying you are talking adult things. You are the adult. Anyways, we've spoken about effective time management. Remember, you need to have time to sleep, to attend lectures, to attend tutorials, and to attend activities, and to have a well-balanced social life. Not only is this important for your growth and development, but it is also going to be important for future employers who are going to hire you. They're going to see that you're getting good marks and you're also able to balance out your lifestyle. Because you can't be getting a 90 and not know how to balance your life. It means that you're not going to be a good employee. You're just going to be focused on work and you're not going to balance out your other things, and that means that you're not going to be a good person to work with. You're going to be grumpy, all of those emotions because you're always just so agitated. Now let's get into the study techniques. Do you want to rewrite the lectures? Do you want to print them? Do you want to read from your laptop or from your iPad? Where is the iPad guy? Do you want to do it from your iPad? It's up to you. But remember, in some modules, you might have a lot of content, so writing might not be feasible. So maybe print those lectures and then integrate a study technique that I learned of in my 4th year, which is the whiteboard technique. Oh my God, a life changer. You get yourself a whiteboard and then you test yourself. You keep testing yourself. So you're going to be reading from the laptop. You are reading, you're reading, you're reading. Then you come into the whiteboard, you write the key concepts. Okay, maybe let's say you're doing thermodynamics. Right, thermodynamics. Then try and write everything. I think the actual technique is called a blurting technique, where you sort of like regurgitate whatever you just learned. Yes, so it is very important for you to sort of like test yourself in that manner. All right, now we're talking about the study techniques. We have what we call active recall, which I think you guys are still familiar with from high school. This is what active recall is about. I want us to talk about spaced repetition. Let me see if I can find that graph for you guys. Remember I told you when you leave the lecture hall, you forget almost 50% of the things you learned. You get that? So let me tell you about something that we call the forgetting curve that you might get taught in academic information. So a forgetting curve is something that tells us how rapidly we sort of like forget information. So it says that after a day we had lost almost 40% of the content we just learned, and by the end of the week we can only remember 20% of what we learned if we do not study it. That is why we need to have something that is a spaced repetition, where, for example, you have a lecture on Monday, Tuesday you revise, and then again on Thursday you go back at the notes and you try and remind yourself. Because remember, now you are also studying to become a professional. You are studying to become a professional, so this is something you need to know even after you graduate. You're going to have to apply that in your place of work. So it's very important that you understand that spaced repetition is the it thing. Feynman technique is very important, especially in subjects where you struggle the most. So the Feynman technique is a technique that is where you sort of like explain the concepts to someone. Could be a wall, doesn't have to be a real person, can be a doll. I like presenting to my Investec bottle, and then it just sits there and listens like, okay. And sometimes you also explain it to friends when you now feel like you get it. So you see, because they're going to challenge you with questions, they're going to challenge you. Like they say that if you cannot explain it to a 5-year-old, you do not understand it, bestie, and you have crammed it. You have crammed it. You can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you have crammed it. So let us make sure we use the Feynman technique to simplify things as much as possible. Remember now, the key concept in university is not memorization, it's understanding and application. That's the main content. And remember, in high school, most of it, they were like name, mention, like there was a bit of that. In university, it's not so much. It's there, but it's not so much. We want you to apply the skills. And how would you do that in the workplace? Also, let us talk about the effectiveness of studying in a group. So there are multiple ways in which you can study in a group. You can either study in a group where you actually sit together and study the work, or you can sit in a group, everyone studies their own thing, everyone does their own thing, you get that. And then after the session, you sort of like come together with your ideas, and you bring in your lessons and what you've understood, and then apply it to problems that you would do together. Or you give yourself a week, be like, okay, Saturday and Sunday we are doing mechanical engineering, we're doing applied maths, we're doing life science, we're doing physics. You sit together and then you discuss. Because remember that you might understand this concept better, someone might understand this one, then you bring each other here. Someone might understand this concept so well, you understand that one. Then you sort of like meet each other halfway, and then you get a very good mark. The past papers. You need to use your past papers. But the catch is here. In university, past papers are not so easily accessible. It's like you're trying to buy, So you need to engage with your fellow classmates. You need to engage with your fellow seniors. And let me tell you why. I know it is very hard to make friends in university. It is hard. It is hard. You come from different backgrounds, societies. There's going to be clashes of energies and all of that. There's a lot of things that you have to consider, but just say hi. It just starts there. Remember that when you engage with other people, the resources they get from their seniors or their friends, their brothers who study the program, they will share with you, because they now consider you a friend. And that includes past papers, past tests, past quizzes, past tutorials. You find out that in some universities, tutorials never change. Do what you do with that info. Yes, so it is very important for you to get access to such information. And also, sometimes question papers don't really change. You know, even if they change, you get to get an idea of what they ask. And if you can at least get the past 3 years, past papers, you have an idea of what they like asking and what they don't like asking. And you also get to see the questioning style of the lecturer, because some lecturers like to have a constant way of assessing you. You know, they feel like this is very important. We cannot assess you on this every year. Some will be like, every year is a new thing, you know, and you get to understand that. And you get to practice in the way in which they do. And then after you do that, you can consult with seniors and see if your answers are correct, or even tutors. Some programs have tutors, so engage with those. Now let us talk about the study guide. Let's talk about the study guide. Every program you're gonna do, every module you're gonna do in university has what we call a study guide, or a course outline, or a course pack. So this is like your ATP that tells you the content that you need to learn, who's going to be teaching it to you, do you have tutors, who's your group tutor, and what assessments do you have. How much do tutorials count towards the final mark? How much does the assignment count towards the final mark? The test 1, the test 2, that is what a study pack outlines. And it is very important for you to look at that, because not only does it tell you when which topic is going to be done, so you can at least go to platforms such as YouTube and be like, oh, let me just check what DNA synthesis is about. Then you sort of like get an idea. And you might even look at the objectives. So the objectives are very important. So objective tells you what we want you to know. So this is like your exam guideline. You know how the physics exam guideline is like Newton's laws. You must know how to calculate these variables, This is what it tells you. That's the things you need to know. So if you might not get access to past papers, especially in modules such as philosophy, where things tend to change a bit quickly, you need to understand those objectives, because they can assess you on those. If you do biology, oral biology somewhere, you know that those objectives become your exam question papers in the future. You know. So engage with your seniors and get to know. So once you understand the study guide, it's easier for you to plan accordingly. Also, when we spoke about planning earlier on, your assignment dates, you need to write them on your Google Calendar. When is it due? Start breaking it into small, manageable pieces. You get that? So it is very important. Now let us talk about attending a lecture. You know, sometimes you attend a lecture for 2 hours and you understand nothing. You're like, it gets in here, it gets out here. You hear nothing. Ziakal. What do you do? So basically, it's always important to always have a look at the lecture or whatever it is you're going to be attending the following day. So you have like a bit of a cooking clue of what's going on, even if it's just 30 minutes a day for each module, or even 20, just to get an idea. And ask questions. The more you ask questions, the more things stay in the brain. They stay because you ask this to further your understanding of the topic. And then now, I want us to talk about how to take notes in class. Remember, you'll either print the notes if you have them, and if you don't, you take notes of important concepts, not everything. Because remember, you're going to get the lecture slides anyway. So take important things down, formulas, key definitions, factors, like for example, if they may be talking about factors that contribute to something, just write that factors contributing to this, and then just maybe mention them. Or even if you don't mention them, you know that the factors are a core concept that you need to understand. If there's a formula, write what each variable means under that. And then write down the tips that the lecturer gives, and ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You'll ask 10 more people will be like, oh, thank you. You have helped us. Okay, now let us talk about something that I think you guys will not like. Let's talk about support and engaging yourself in the university experience. Guys, breathe. Let's do a breathe in. Awesome. Breathe. You have made it into the program. Now, the real challenge is getting out. But you are going to get out. you need to get support. You need to have a balance. After school, when it says for, you need to either be going to a sport, a society, or a club, whatever it is that tickles your fancies. But you need to engage in something that you enjoy personally. Do you get that? Do we get that? Engage in sports, debate, swimming, whatever works in your schedule and you enjoy. Go and join. If you want to join a gym, perfect. Join whatever it is you think you're going to enjoy. Also support classmates, and I said seniors. There's nothing that is more important than relatability in university, because you are going to relate to what your classmate is going through, and you will see that it's okay. You're not going through it alone. Also, if your university has a program for mentors, go and get that mentor. Don't be like, I got 7 distinctions, I didn't have a mentor, I don't need. Go and get that mentor. I know WITS offers all the first year mentors. I don't know other universities, but make sure you get a mentor. Get a mentor. A mentor is a very, very important person to have in your life. Not only do they guide and support you in your journey, of getting your qualification, but they're also just there for you, as a person, and they get to teach you things that they didn't know that they wish you should know, and it makes your life a bit better. The last thing that I'm going to talk about, 2 last things: academic integrity, ChatGPT. I feel like that one should be a separate topic. No, we're going to make it a separate topic. It's a bit too long. Let us talk about mental health and self-care. I'm going to say something, and I hope you take it with a pinch of salt. Every first year, you need to go to therapy. What are you talking about, bestie? Bestie, you need to go to therapy. Remember, you don't just go to therapy because you maybe have a problem. You go to therapy to talk about certain things that you want to unlearn and things that you want to learn. That might be habits that you learned in your community or in your family that might not be actually okay, You find out that you were taught this certain principle, Now it's limiting you to reach your potential. So bestie, let us make sure that we go to CCDU. Let me tell you what. When you have that therapist, you can talk about almost anything. No judgment, anything, and they are qualified to talk to you. You don't need to have a problem to go to therapy on campus. It's free. And now let me tell you where is this going to benefit you. Remember that when you are adjusting to university, you're going to have a bit of challenges here and there. And if you have a professional that is hired by the university who talks to you about that, it means that there is a record. Because one thing about university, we believe in evidence. So for example, let's say you don't make it at the end of the year and you want to do an academic appeal because you maybe feel like you had a hard transition, you couldn't transition easier. They're like, okay, who are you talking to? What evidence do you have that you were having a challenge? Because marks are not evidence enough. At least now you have evidence from someone who has written it that no, indeed that so-and-so has been attending and I've been seeing that they're struggling, but we've been helping them. So you believe that if they get another chance, they can do better. You get that? Very important. Also, make sure that your lecturers know you. Engage. Ask questions in the class. Email them if you have questions, guys. Email your lecturers if you have questions. Lecturers are people, and they're also there to teach. They will help you because it's their job, to teach you. So email them. Do not be afraid, but know email etiquette as well. Your email must have a subject line, so it must be the module code and whatever topic you were doing or whatever class you were in. And then you say, good day, sir or ma'am. If it's a doctor or a professor, you need to address them properly because they will choke slam you. You need to address them properly. Professors don't like being called doctors. Doctors don't like being called mister. They will finish you off. So make sure you know that you understand email etiquette and you know how to email and you know how to communicate with lecturers. This is not high school where learners can just talk to lecturers as they please. Here you will get expelled. University does not play. Guys, take this opportunity to grow and learn. It builds your character. You get 10% on your first quiz, it's okay. We also went through that. I once got a 10% in a physics quiz and it was tough. And that 1 mark that I got was for a formula substitution. It goes down. It goes down. So besties, good luck. Let me know if this video is going to help you.